Well, good afternoon. It's the one that everyone has been waiting for. Welcome to Sandygate, the world's oldest football ground. And in the 165-year history of this stadium, there have been few games that have been as important and as special as this. There's 1,400 people packed into Sandygate for today's Northern Counties East League Premier Playoff semi-final between Hallam and Thackley, as the teams have made their way out onto the pitch. Hallam in their traditional blue shirts, blue shorts and white socks. Thackley in red with sort of white trim, shall we say, as the Hallam players currently are shaking hands on the edge of the centre circle. So have a look at the way the teams line up. We'll start with Thackley. So in goals, Luke Wilson, Harry Parsons, Luke Rhodes, Lewis Sugden, Matthew Dempsey, Liam Hudson, Finn Donovan, the captain Joseph Mitchell, Anthony Brown, the scorer of 2 goals against Hallam this season, George Green and Slater Barnes. On the bench, Hasme Hamdosh, Torhed Hamed, Alfie Gibson, Adam Teralonge Jones and Will Morrissey. The Hallam team in goal is Hugo Warhurst, Jack Brownhill and Jamie Sharman are the full-backs, with Danny South, the captain, returning from suspension, the centre-half turned striker. We've got Brandon Bradbury, Yanni Lipka, James Cadman, Rio Allen, Brody Litchfield, Alfie Smith and the ever-experienced Daniel Poodle, who has played in games slightly more important than this in his career, but will be relishing an opportunity to play in front of a crowd this big once again. On the bench, Danny Buttle, Callum Ward, Adam Blakely, Leon Howarth, substitute for the Countrymen today, alongside James Playford, yet to make his first start for the club. So Danny South and Joseph Mitchell currently stood in the centre circle for the coin toss, with our referee Ethan Nundy from Lincolnshire, assisted by Nicholas Brickcliffe and Chris Pert, both from the West Riding. So Hallam will be kicking from left to right as we look attacking the shed end in the first half. It wasn't always that way. And it will be Thackley to kick us off, and Joseph Mitchell, the captain, will get us underway. So as we wait for kick-off here, the shed end in fine voice ahead of the start of this playoff semi-final. It's only Hallam's 3rd ever playoff tie, the first at this level, after the club's greatest ever league position. Still, we wait for the referee to do his final checks on everything. As we check the goalkeepers, he checks the numbers, as all good referees do. And we are all but ready to go here. Giving it a long build-up, this referee, has to be said. Maybe now we can finally kick off this Northern Counties East playoff semi-final. So Hallam, as it stands, are just 3 footballing hours from the Northern Premier League, from step 4 of the non-league system for the very first time, as the ball straightaway put out into touch on the left-hand side by James Cadman. It'll be a throw-in the right-back position to be taken by Liam Hudson for Thackley. In fact, it will be Harry Parsons who picks the ball up about midway through the Thackley half. He comes up towards the edge of the centre circle, knocks it long, looking for Anthony Brown. It's up over the halfway line where Danny South goes to win the header. Launch forward, not a lot of distance on the clearance. Up goes Brandon Bradbury. There's a lot more distance on that clearance there into the final third. There's some defending here for Jack Brownhill to do. He does well to muscle off Anthony Brown. The throw-in goes the way of Thackley, right beneath us, which are taken by George Green, who gets the ball back on the near touchline. Instead, it's now with Lewis Sugden. Crossfield ball cleared away by Dan Poodle. Again, not much on the way of distance, and it very nearly lands in our commentary position. It's been sort of tipped wide, I think, by someone in the stands below us there. Throw-in taken by Slater Barnes. That's the 1-2 with George Green. It's launched forward again by Brown up to halfway, where Hallam's not going to be able to keep it in. And it's a throw-in right in front of the dugouts for the visitors. Thackley, of course, getting that final playoff place on the last day of the regular season. It was a 3-0 win at Barton Town that clinched that final place. His game again being the ball laid off to Jack Brownell in the right back position. Laid off down the line, something for Danny South to chase, and it's been put out into touch ahead of Brodie Litchfield for a throw-in for Jack Brownell right in front of the Thackley dugout. And it's not got a lot of distance on it. It was going to go out for a goal kick, but instead it's been put out into touch by Harry Parsons for a throw by the corner flag to Hallam and a chance to get the ball into the box for the first time this afternoon. So 0-0. We've played probably about, I think it's about 2 minutes so far of this playoff semi-final. No chances to report as of yet. And it's Alfie Smith who'll take this throw in right next to the linesman on the right-hand side. All but 4 other Hallam players wait inside the penalty area. The throw in goes towards the front post where it's caught pretty comfortably by Luke Wilson, the Thackley goalkeeper, who's just taking some time on the ball, waiting for the penalty area and indeed the Thackley half to clear. As forward it goes, up over the halfway line. It's a good shift actually, but Dan Poodle's right underneath it. Puts it forward. Danny South was offside, leaves it. Matthew Dempsey also happy to leave it for Luke Wilson to collect at his feet. On the edge of his D, on the edge of the penalty area. Plays it into the right back position with Lewis Sugden. Danny South putting a little bit of pressure on. Sugden knocks it down the line for Poodle to put out. In fact, it was Harry Parsons who was marking him. And it'll be a throw into Thackley where I think Parsons is going to look to launch this into the box. It's significantly fewer Thackley players waiting in the penalty area, but the turn is in there in the middle by Anthony Brown, and on the stretch inside the 6-yard box, I think it was George Green. In fact, it was Slater Barnes on the stretch. It's a lovely turn there by Anthony Brown to shake off his man, put the ball back in, and Slater Barnes, had he been a couple of inches further forward, would have had a chance to put Thackley in front. As it happens, he didn't get a touch. And Hallam will have this throw in now by the corner flag in the right back position, which Jack Brownell will see to. Flicked on by Danny South. Bradbury can't quite get control over it. Played off by Brodie Litchfield to Cadman. Looks for Allen in the middle. Didn't quite reach him. It's Finn Donovan now with possession of the ball. Comes to Bradbury inside the centre circle. Loses out to George Green, who's advancing towards the left of midfield here. Stops and looks back. Lays it infield again. Gets the 1-2 off his fellow midfielder George Green. Has Cadman on his shoulder. Instead goes back to the edge of the centre circle. Now Lewis Sugden has it on the left. He's put it out into touch to throw in. It's a very weak ball, and I think he knows it. I think the crowd reaction will tell you that Slater Barnes was he's a tall man, but he's never going to reach a pass like that. So Jack Brownell once again on this throw-in. We've played 4 minutes and it's 0-0 on the Hallam YouTube channel, forward by Jack Brownell over halfway. There's a battle there going on between Jamie Sharman and Anthony Brown, and the ball is put out into touch. It hits a supporter below us. It's put out by Slater Barnes. And Brownell again will launch it up to halfway where Danny South can't quite get the flick on. Rio Allen can, but there's no one waiting in behind him, I should say. It's Alfie Smith battling with Finn Donovan, who wins the ball. And now Thackley, who've had the bulk of possession in the early stages, come forward in the centre circle. A nice little ball by Harry Parsons was cut out by Dan Poodle. It's a clever idea. And he'll win a throw-in for his efforts. Again, midway through the Hallam half as we look on the right-hand side. I think Thackley will be happy with the way they've started this game. They've had plenty of possession. Hallam have kind of been happy to let them often have their moments so far. Yanni Lipka collects it on the edge of the penalty area. Danny South battling forward upfield. Brandon Bradbury taking control. His pass was, let's just say, loose, and I think Danny South is letting him know. So Thackley will have this throw in on the halfway line in the right back position. As up it goes, looking for Anthony Brown. Header won, I think that was by Jamie Sharman. Anthony Brown will win it back though. Cadman can keep it in. He's done well there, I think. Cadman's got to spin on the far touchline, and he does well, and he's won a throw-in off the heel, I think, of Harry Parsons on the left-hand side for Hallam. So 6 minutes played, 0-0. I have to say it's a wonderful day for football. And looking around the crowd, there's lots of shorts, so t-shirts. It's proper football weather. This. So up goes the throw-in again, looking for Danny South, who's been under everything so far. Dan Poodle gets the second ball. Thackley picked the ball up on the left-hand side. What a goal! What an inventive ball that is. Been cut out by Jack Brownell, and again Brandon Bradbury looking to thread that ball through the middle. It couldn't quite stick at the feet of Rio Allen, and it's back with Luke Wilson in the Thackley goal. A really inventive idea there. The crossfield ball from the wide player from Thackley looking for Slater Barnes. It was intercepted, of course, and the danger was gone. Still wait for Luke Wilson to do away with the ball at his feet. Danny South putting some last-minute pressure on, nearly getting on the end of it, actually. Dan Poodle wins a header at left back. Cadman keeps it in play. Brody Litchfield thought he was fouled there, but play continues. Brandon Bradbury was fouled by Joseph Mitchell, the captain. And the first free kick of the game will be a Hallam ball, pretty much, shall we say, on the edge of the centre circle. The referee wants it taking back a couple of yards. Dan Poodle's over this. A man with plenty of experience, of course. Played in Champions Leagues, European Championships, playoff finals. He's no stranger to the playoffs, of course, having played in the final with Watford and Sheffield Wednesday. Twice at Wembley, as the crossfield ball looks for Danny South on the corner. Allen tries to take it on the turn. He does well to kind of knock the ball up. Danny South, lovely ball, but Jamie Sharman, kind of an air shot on the right side of the penalty area. He's battling there to keep the ball in. He hasn't done so. It's a goal kick right in front of the shed. You can tell what they wanted to happen. But Rio Allen had all kinds of opportunity there to try and get the ball out of his feet. He did manage in the end, and he did well. Rio Allen, of course, Hallam's top scorer. We're almost losing count of how many goals he's scored so far this season, Rio Allen. The actual figure so far is 31, but again, the crowd. Luke Wilson know that he's less than welcome in the early stages as we move towards the 10-minute mark of this first half of this first game of the playoffs this season. Actually, the first playoffs we played in England this season. The Northern County first to finish their regular campaign. Dan Poodle again launches it forward towards Danny South. There's Brandon Bradbury putting Liam Hudson under pressure midway through the half. Brandon Bradbury then wins the knockdown. Chance here for Brody Litchfield, left corner of the penalty area. Danny South arriving behind him. Litchfield looks for James Cadman, who drills his shot, and it's just wide of that left-hand post. And it's skidded across the turf. Luke Wilson rooted to the spot. The first chance of the game, well, the first real chance of the game, is a Hallam one. And James Cadman is disappointed, but I think he did well to get the shot away, and it was certainly close enough. So 0-0. Just over 10 minutes played. Luke Wilson will be happy to take his time over this goal kick. In front of a packed out shed end, of course, with a new extension as well to the left side of Luke Wilson's goal as we look. And this goal kick, but he gets plenty of distance on it, and it goes over halfway. Cadman wins the header. It was a free header. Flick it on might have been better. Down, he forward, where Brownell intercepts, and it's on the left play now with Slater Barnes, who keeps it in play but loses the ball. Now Yanni Lipka does well to hold off the challenge, and he's actually got a free kick for his efforts in the defensive right back position. And George Green trying to knock the ball back. The referee having none of it over this goal kick. We'll also try and keep you up to date, of course, with the other semi-final between Golka and Beverley Town. That's the winner of that could travel to Sandygate this time next week. Of course, that's all dependent on whether Hallam win here. It would be a home final if we were to go through. Here's Jamie Sharman with a... I think it was Dan Poodle, I beg your pardon, with another air shot midway through the Thackley half. Rio Allen being climbed all over by Thackley centre half. Jack Brownell launched it back forward with his head. Yanni Lipka tries to bring it under control. And it's passed a little bit too far ahead of Brodie Litchfield. And it's a throw in again in the right back position for Thackley. So 0-0 here. 0-0 at Golcar as well. The two Northern Counties East Premier Division semi-finals. I say this is Hallam's first taste of Premier Division playoffs. They were only brought in 2 seasons ago. Inter-step playoffs. Hallam were never involved in any of those either. But they did have 2 consecutive playoff campaigns in the Division 1 between 2016 and 2017. As a free kick's gone the way of Thackley here. I've got to say Danny South was challenging. I thought it was a pretty harsh decision. The referee calling Danny South over. I thought it was 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. I thought the referee was going to blow the other way because Brandon Bradbury was sort of clean through there. There's still a Thackley player, still trying to wait to see who it is that's down. He is still down. And there's a chance for Ethan Lundy, the referee, to have a polite chat with Danny South, who I'm sure is returning the favour. There's a yellow card, in fact, for Danny South. Whether that's for the challenge or whether he's talked himself into that, we're not sure. I've got to say that's on the harsh side early on, so 13 minutes into the game. Danny South, the first name to be taken. The captain is now in the referee's book. We will now have a free about 5 or 10 yards over halfway on the sort of right-hand side, shall we say. It's not strictly on the touchline, but it's towards that area of the pitch for Thackley. 6 Hallam players wait in defence, 4 forward for Thackley, 2 and behind. The free kick up towards Anthony Brown. It's headed away by Brownell up towards Slater Barnes. Bradbury challenging for it, and Bradbury does really well. As then, to be fair, does Joseph Mitchell to steal it from Rio Allen. It's gone all the way back to Luke Wilson in the Thackley goal. Wilson's long ball forward up towards Anthony Brown. Header won by Brownell, but presented only straight to Brown, who's got Slater Barnes out wide left. George Green behind him, finds Green. Green trying to find room for the cross. Has got Barnes again behind him. 2 players between him and a cross. Green's ball in is flicked on by Anthony Brown, and attacking at the far post was Finn Donovan. I think got a touch on it, but couldn't quite bring it under control. And it goes behind for a goal kick, which Hugo Warhurst will take his time over this. So the goal kick. Hugo Warhurst's goal kick up over halfway. Danny South involved in a huge tussle there, I've got to be said, with his equivalent number 5, Matthew Dempsey. The ball's down on the right-hand side for Cadman. The flag's up for offside. And I wonder if Rio Allen was the man that's... they were both kind of in the same sort of area. I wonder if Cadman had left it, if Allen wouldn't have fallen foul of the linesman's flag. Thackley have a player down here. It's been a very stop-start game so far. Of course, Hallam had that early chance when James Cadman drilled wide the foot of the left post. Luke Wilson probably wouldn't have had any answers for it. I wouldn't have said. Sort of rooted to the spot. Nicely worked move. Couldn't quite be finished off. Thackley had a chance of their own as well when the ball was played across the penalty area where Slater Barnes couldn't quite get on the end of it, but no shots on Hugo Warhurst's goal as of yet. As we've got a chance, I think, for an impromptu drinks break, with the physio on attending to one of the Thackley defenders. Again, he's facing away from us. I can't see the number on the back of his shirt. We'll try and work that out. It might actually be Luke Rhodes. Can't see the number 3. Matthew Dempsey and Lewis Sugden go over to him. So 0-0, I keep saying. But if it was to stay this way, and there was a lot of football still to be played, we would go straight to penalties to determine who will be playing in that final this time next week. It's still Golco nil, Thackley nil as well at the same time. As finally Luke Rhodes is up and leaving the pitch at the left back position. Haven't actually, I don't think, seen him touch the ball yet until this point. Luke Wilson will have the free kick for the offside, which feels an awfully long time ago. In the same position, about 10 yards beyond his penalty area on the left-hand side. In fact, it wasn't Luke Rhodes, it was Liam Hudson who was down as the ball hoofed up towards Slater Barnes, who wins the knockdown for Finn Donovan, right corner of the penalty area, blocked by Dan Poodle. It'll go down as a shot. It'll also go down as a Thackley corner as the ball trickles out by the corner flag. It's, I think, Thackley's first sight of goal, if you like. So once again, Liam Hudson is leaving the pitch. So there will be an early substitution here. And replacing Liam Hudson, Alfie Gibson will make his way onto the pitch for Thackley. So this ball in corner from the right-hand side, angle towards the edge of the penalty area. Matthew Dempsey got up and got ahead to it, almost in the penalty spot. It's saved by Hugo Warhurst, who gathers it relatively easily and then launches a huge ball forward for Cadman. It's cleared away by Thackley, and it's going to go out into touch, where it lands almost on the roof of the dugout. In fact, it goes just wide of it for a throw-in for Jack Brownell. And the danger from that set piece, that corner, was cleared relatively routinely. There's a simple header back from Matthew Dempsey for Thackley into the gloves of Luke Wilson. Still 0-0, 18 minutes or so played. We've heard but it's ball won by Brandon Bradbury. It's down for Alan on the right hand side. Thank you. Towards George Green. Now tucked it in field to Finn over the halfway line. The ball for Alfie Gibson this afternoon. Lays it back to Finn Donovan about midway through the half. Donovan over the top towards Anthony Brown. There's no flag against Brown. And an air shot on the edge of the 6-yard box by Slater Barnes. They're all at it today. Anthony Brown's ball was right on the boot of Barnes, who was unmarked in the middle. Hallam take their time, and Bradbury can launch it, knock it clear up to halfway. I've got to say, it did look like there should have been a flag that went up. Alfie Gibson now on the right-hand side. Dan Poodle was closing him down. Anthony Brown on the right edge of the penalty area. Poodle on his shoulder, so to Alfie Smith. And Alfie Smith deals with the danger, momentarily at least. And it'll be a throw-in for Thackley, sort of in line with his 6-yard box on the right-hand side, which will be taken by Alfie Gibson. He's got a very 80s hairstyle, I think it's fair to say. You've been informed it's very David Luiz hairstyle. Need to hope that he doesn't play like him. But he'll have a chance to launch the ball into the box. It's throwing is short, in fact, to the captain, Joseph Mitchell. Gibson gets it back. It's intercepted by Cadman. Sugden over his head, plays it back in. Anthony Brown, and the cross in the middle for Slater Barnes, who can't turn it home. What a chance. And the ball was clipped back across by Finn Donovan. Anthony Brown had laid it across to him. It was clipped across the face. Hugo Warhurst wasn't getting near it. And Slater Barnes, maybe lead a little bit, has headed over. It was a big chance, that. Wouldn't quite go as far as saying it was an open goal, but there was no goalkeeper. I think the way that he was approaching the ball, it's The goal kick forward by Hugo Warhurst, straight out into touch on the right touchline for throw-in to Thackley. Throw in towards George Green, lays it back for Lewis Sugden. And Yanni Lepke pressure on. Now Danny South can't quite win the ball back. Rose. Anthony Brown. By Brown. Overly happy with that decision, but it's gone the way of Hallam. That's all that matters. Still 0-0, both here and at Golka. It's Hugo Warhurst in an empty Hallam half. Every other player in the Thackley half launched it forward towards the left corner of the penalty area. Danny South does really well to win the header, and it's up towards the edge of the penalty area where Joseph Mitchell keep it in. This gone out for a throw. Will be taken by Luke Rhodes in the left back position. By Anthony Brown. Alfie Smith can only head it as far as Lewis Sugden. And the ball's with Finn Donovan on the right. Overlap. Now give the middle. Brown comes off the back of Jack Brownell from Anthony Brown's shot. It's been crowded out in the panel. Back line. It's a spin there. George Green who went to ground. Edge of the yard. It's cleared away. Goalkeeper Luke on the edge. Right. Under his spell. I think that kind of sums the game up at the moment. Warhurst's ball upfield. Danny South is involved in an almighty tussle there with I think as Brown wins the free kick from Jamie Sharman on the halfway. Bit of shirt pulling, and the decision has gone the way of Thackley. So we played just shy of 20 minutes. James Cadman up. And on the left. V1 again. Terrific Allen. We did get a touch on it. Allen's at any hold it. Yeah, free on the air. Friendly. Now Luke Wilson will once again have the chance to punt it forward from this goal kick. We just wait for him to put the ball on the ground. So an even first half as it was. Very rough, I should say. When of the first half, but two quick-fire goals from Rio Allen had the Clergyman 2 up inside the first 25 minutes. 3-1 the final score that day. Both sides have enjoyed victories against each other this season. Goal, Anthony Brown back in September. Back has given Luke Wilson what to do. He did really well, actually, the goalkeeper, to head the ball away. It was in the Edwards penalty area. Couldn't do anything more with it. Dan Poole couldn't get the control over his clearance. Finn Donovan into the penalty area. Right hand side. Right. Brilliant save by Warhurst. And the ball still scrambled in the penalty area. The free kick's gone the way of Hallam, I think, for handball against George Green. Mighty scramble as Finn Donovan got the shot out, the ball out of his feet, got the shot in. Warhurst parried. George following it down. There's been no penalty in there, and I think he might have handled it in the process. I don't think it was once again, no matter the reason that the decision was for, Hallam will once again have a free kick, some call it the goal kick really, inside the 6-yard box. Hugo Warhurst. It's 27 minutes played. Here's Warhurst's ball again. Danny South can't get there. Here's so he will finish relative. Go just past the post on around the quarter-hour mark. Other than that, Hallam have had a goal. Ball taken under control by Joseph Mitchell. Now Donovan on the right-hand side. Cross in. Anthony Brown. Oh, it's Joseph Mitchell. Couldn't get the ball underneath it, and very big chance. And the area threat that Anthony Brown provides for them. He's their top scorer this season by far with 18 goals. Of course, 2 have come against Hallam this season. 1, as we said, in the 90th minute in the away fixture back in September. Now Hugo Warhurst with over this goal kick, punted up towards halfway. Bradbury was underneath it, wasn't challenging for it. Will challenge for this second ball where it's won in the air again by Thackley. The chase now on for Brownell in the right back position. Going to be I think there to Barnes. Brownell does really well himself. Punted forward by James Cadman. Dempsey. Once again, Jamie is cleared away by Thackley towards Dan Poodle. Of the area. The way halfway healthy area. Danny move alive in the end. We'll go quickly. The Brody Litchfield does to a Brody Litchfield foul midway through the half. So 0-0. Play just half an hour here. So 0-0 here, 0-0 at Golka as well. Ball towards Anthony Brown in the left corner of the area. It's cleared away. Oh, it's just slightly too far. What a pass by Cadman. The place there is right boot. And it really has kind of on it. And just far. Well, not big Luke Rhodes with the throw-in by the corner flag for Thackley. Here's Luke Rhodes throw-in. 2 Hallam players, Sharman and Brown will go up for it. Danny South battling on the edge of the penalty area. I think that was the whistle's gone for a throw, for a foul rather, on I think with Matthew Dempsey. I've got to say it's soft. He certainly went down. There wasn't a lot of contact to bring him down. And Danny South trying to use his strength. That the referee was adjudging it to be a little bit too much. Luke Wilson, once again the goalkeeper, has had a lot to do in terms of clearing these dead balls. Hasn't had an awful lot to do in terms of making saves, and that'll be Hallam's problem going into the rest of this game, the next hour or so. They want to test him a lot more. Wilson's ball up over halfway. Anthony Brown underneath it, so to Yanni Lipka. Brown wins the header. Misjudged the second ball, which has been punted forward by Dan Poodle. Danny South may be looking to get on the end of the ball, but it's left by Matthew Dempsey for Luke Wilson to gather. And once again, we're back where we started, with Wilson's ball forward. A bit more diagonal this time up towards Brown. They can't quite win it. Now Rio Allen on halfway. Nutmegs Luke Rhodes, and Allen's got space to run into now on the right. Slater Barnes on his shoulder. Allen can't quite take the ball with him. There's all kinds of appeals, I think more from the crowd, more than the players. No whistle's gone. Anyway, now George Green forward for Thackley. Green's ball wide to the right for Alfie Gibson, who's got a job to keep it in. Can't do. And it's a throw in on the left-hand side for Hallam. It was an interesting ball, actually. Had 2 players more central. Into. So we've played approximately, I'd say, 34 minutes so far. 0-0. Dan Poodle's ball forward. Flicked on by Danny South a little bit deeper this time. Thackley punts it forward again where Jamie Sharman wins the header. Danny South flicks it on. Was caught in the back there by Joseph Mitchell. The 2 captains going head to head. Quite literally. It's the Hallam free kick just over halfway. Oh, sorry, just shy of halfway, I think. Dan Poodle will be the one taking it. Again, all but Poodle and Warhurst inside the Thackley half. There's plenty getting forward for it. As Poodle will look for the diagonal ball, no doubt, up towards Danny South on the edge of the penalty area. In fact, it's Jamie Sharman battling for it. Cleared away by Luke Rhodes, only as far as Brodie Litchfield. A bit further back as Brandon Bradbury swings the cross in, and Alfie Smith was waiting for the far post. The ball was never reaching him, in all honesty, and it's gone out for a goal kick for Thackley, and another chance for the visitors to reset. And I keep saying 0-0. If it does remain this way, we will have a penalty shootout. 0-0 here, 0-0 at Golka. I'm not sure anyone in this ground will want a penalty shootout. But of course, we had a couple of penalties in the game against Goole last week in the early stages. 1 for, 1 against. That's that crazy final day, which felt like the end of the school term, really, didn't it? It was had nothing on it. The free kick, the whistle has gone. It's a free kick to Hallam on the halfway line as Slater Barnes runs away from the challenge. Jack Brownell will have the chance to punt this free kick into the penalty area, just short of the halfway line in front of the Hallam dugout on the near right-hand side. Jack Brownell with his right foot diagonal ball towards the corner of 18 yards, the far left corner. Danny South wins the header. Smith going up for it. And now the chase on for Anthony Brown on the halfway line for Thackley. Is put out into touch by Brodie Litchfield, who did really well to get back and see the ball out for a throw-in on the far side with Alfie Gibson going over to take it. As we enter the final 10 minutes of this first half, 0-0 once again. Joseph Mitchell And Anthony Brown playing it back. It's now Matthew Dempsey at centre half. The pass is really wayward, and it's gone out for a throw in on halfway, exactly on halfway. For Jack Brownell. So in between the two dugouts this time. Jack Brownell waits for options. Allen's being marked by two in red. There's not many other than that around him. Danny South was the other option. It's gone over his head, and it'll go out for a goal kick. And I think that's kind of sums up the afternoon, really. Hallam have been sort of squeezed out the game, if you like, in the opening 32 minutes. Not really having any chance to get a meaningful shot on goal. James Cadman had that early chance just wide. Aside from that, there's not been much in the way of goalmouth action. Thackley have had one or two at the other end. Chances where, I think it was Slater Barnes who put it over from a couple of yards out with a header, a standing header, maybe more difficult than what we initially gave him credit for. But it will go down as a big chance. Sharman and Litchfield go for the same header, climbing on top of each other. The ball will reach Luke Wilson. Luke Wilson must have had the lion's share of possession so far in this game. It's nodded to the right-hand side for Thackley for Donovan. Trying to get to Yanni Lipka. He's just feet, and Yanni Lipka really outmuscled his fellow number 7 and a free kick. Put that distance. Half of the other, but the two number 7s going toe-to-toe in the corner of the area, giving Hugo Warhurst the chance once again to punt it forward for Hallam, which he does now over halfway. Again, Danny South underneath it. Didn't jump forward again. It's Brandon Bradbury going for the second ball. Now Yanni Lipka going for it. South underneath it. This comes the right back position. Harry Parsons will have a chance to win the control. James Cadman's won the ball off him. The left corner. Flicks it up a couple of times. Gets the return ball off. Off James. I think with Brandon Bradbury. Cadman, who got the return. He's been flagged offside anyway. And I think that's. I'm not sure about that decision. But a couple of keepy-ups by the corner flag from Cadman, showing off a little bit. A little bit of excitement. I think this game is in need of an injection of at this point in time. 0-0 as we enter the 40th minute. Forward by Luke Wilson. Anthony Brown going up for it. So to Yanni Lipka. Lipka wins the header, and it's going to be put out into touch by Poodle for a throw-in on the far side for Thackley. Far right-hand side, Alfie Gibson, who's seen a lot of the balls coming on and shoot for Liam Hudson on. Takes the throw on the side where Yanni Lipka can hoof it clear. Danny South, it's a nice touch actually. South to bring control. Now Broadfield. South for Jack Brownell to punt it forward. And it's gone all the way over the head of Joe Allen into the hands of Luke Wilson. Not quite Hallam at the moment in the final third. Wilson's diagonal ball up towards Brown. Oh, there's a foul on the edge of the penalty area. The free kick's gone the way of Hallam. Actually missed, who was went down under it. It might be Jamie Sharman. It's a very high boot, actually, and I think the referee might well have to reach for a card here. He's calling over the Thackley player. Again, I haven't quite worked out who either of the people involved in this incident are. It's number 10, George Green. It's Alfie Smith who's down George Green's challenge. It's a very high boot, and I think the referee will want further words with George Green. He might be lucky, given what Danny South was booked for early on in the game. I'd say he'd be lucky to get away with without a booking. Here's the yellow card for George Green. Alfie Smith is now back on his feet. He won't have to leave the field for 30 seconds, of course, because Green was shown a yellow card. So we stay 11 against 11 for the time being. So it was a rash challenge, to be fair. A very high boot into the face of Alfie Smith. Again, 0-0 here. 0-0 between Golka and in the other semi-final as well. The referee just having a few words with his linesman. It was nothing more than just a couple of words. I think telling the might have been telling the players to just calm it down with from the battle. I think forward it comes from Warhurst. Danny Sam foot, and instead it goes all the way through Luke Wilson, as we've seen many times over the goalkeeper. Luke Wilson having all the time in the world to punt it forward up towards way through. Forward by Jack Brownell. Keep it under control on the right. Dan Poodle losing out on halfway to Finn Donovan, who can't quite keep it in the end, and a danger once again is averted. 42 minutes gone. 0-0. Hallam 0, Beverley 0. This Northern Counties East Premier semi-final fixture. Final of which could be played here at Sandygate, where to go through if there weren't. To the penalty area, Brown will get the return. His man there, I think, catch like he has done, and the ball for Jack Brownell. I think the ball was there to be won, but there was contact. And Slater Barnes, who went down his feet. Rhodes, this free kick. In fact, it's not Luke Rhodes. Matthew Dempsey. Luke Rhodes was slightly Matthew Dempsey's ball over, headed away by Poodle. Again, Anthony Brown underneath it. Kept in by Alfie Gibson. He's got a job to do that. He's done it well. And he's found Finn Donovan on the right-hand side. Now Joseph Mitchell does run the ball out. Throw in Thackley on the right. Alfie Gibson. First half, which has been largely some touchline. The cross put in by Green, turned away by Poodle again by throwing for the corner and Dan Poodle. Again, can't win the header, but he can win the second ball. It's to George Green, who's playing Slater Barnes on the left corner of the penalty area. He's got a man behind him, Brownell on his shoulder. Slater Barnes, and Brownell does really well. Lays it back to Lewis Sugden. Now George Green on the turn, midway through the Hallam half. Lays it off for Alfie Gibson on the right. Now Finn Donovan. Alfie Gibson gets it back, tries to cut it into the path of Sugden on the edge of the penalty area. It falls now again for Slater Barnes on the left-hand side. Gets the better of Brownell. Brownell makes up the ground, and Rio Allen does really well to close them down, put the ball out into touch. It's a throw-in for Thackley by the corner flag. And I think we've just seen how many minutes will be added on, but I didn't see. It can't be many, I would have thought. Slater Barnes' ball up. Hugo Warhurst shouts, and Hugo Warhurst claims from just above the head of Finn Donovan. As we enter stoppage time at the end of this first half, where it's currently Hallam 0, Thackley 0. As Siani Lipka tries to keep control of it. Brody Litchfield on the right-hand side. Now would be a really good time to get a goal, wouldn't it? As Allen inside for Litchfield. Nicely worked out for Cadman on the right. Cadman chips it into looking for Litchfield in the penalty area. It's headed away. It might go behind for a corner here. No, they'll keep it in. And Litchfield's challenge, was strong but firm. That'll be a throw-in for Thackley by the corner flag. Matthew Dempsey will be taking it. And I think the danger was averted there quite nicely by Thackley in the end. We just started to see Hallam get into their groove there a little bit. The sort of triangular passing has Cadman with sticks a leg out. Danny South inside the penalty area, tries to thread it through, back for Cadman. It's cleared away, and it will be a throw-in. And maybe this might be the last chance for Hallam in this first half. Alfie Smith will go forward to take it. Attendance just shy of 1,400 this afternoon. Alfie Smith's ball forward, angle towards the edge of 6 yards. Danny South tries to flick it on, kind of got his angle slightly wrong, and it's into the hands of Luke Wilson. A little bit more direction on it than he would have wanted. I think it needed height more than anything else from Danny South. Luke Wilson gratefully lands on the ball to the acclaim of the shed end. Will now put forward this goal kick, where Sharman was tussling with Anthony Brown. Sharman wins the ball. Now Brandon Bradbury can bring it forward from midfield for Hallam. Over the halfway line, Alfie Gibson on his shoulder. Bradbury's going to keep going and go the distance as well. Into the penalty area goes Brandon Bradbury. Gibson has done really well. And it'll be a Hallam corner. And I've got to say that's excellent work all round, both from Bradbury to knock the ball all that way, and for Alfie Gibson as well to track the run that whole distance. And it's a corner for Hallam right on the stroke of half-time. We're 3 minutes into first half stoppage time, rather. Didn't catch the ball to see how much time was added on at the end of it. And Yanni Lipke will be taking this corner from the left-hand side, from the sort of hill in the corner in front of the shed end extension. It was opened a few months ago. This Yanni Lipke's corner has plenty of queue inside the penalty area. When it comes, Sharman was underneath it, but it flies over his head and flies behind for a goal kick. Safely for Luke Wilson to retrieve the ball. Thackley in no hurry to take this goal kick. I think Hallam have started to come into the game a little bit more as we enter the final sort of 5 or so minutes of this first half. We've started to see the Hallam that we've seen at times this season. We've got to remember, unbeaten in the league since the end of November. Certainly a record that's one to be proud of in the Northern Counties League this season. The longest unbeaten run. Top teams turned over here in the latter half of the season. A bit more of a test here today against a side who snuck into the final playoff place on the last day of the regular season. Alfie Gibson in the right back position, trying to punt it forward only as far as Brandon Bradbury, and he tries to put it forward, and it's going to go out once again for a goal kick, which we won't have time to take. The referee blowing the half-time whistle and bringing this first half to a rather anticlimactic end, I think. Hallam 0, Thackley 0, and I've got to say it's a first half of relatively few chances, relatively little quality, and it's kind of like the cagey playoff game that you might expect from a normal playoff. I think we probably expected a little bit more from Hallam, the way that they've been playing in the second half of this season, but we're deadlocked at half-time. Hopefully we'll see a bit more action in the second half, and we hope you can join us then, as maybe we get some goals. Half-time, Hallam 0, Thackley 0. So welcome back to Sandygate, where we're about to start the second half here in the Northern Counties East playoff semi-final. If you didn't join us in the first half, we haven't missed much. Hallam 0, Thackley 0, and not a lot in the game at all. A couple of half chances fell the way of Hallam. Thackley probably had the better of the first half, they would argue. So let's see if the second period is any different. Yanni Lipke is the man preparing to get us underway. As again, the referee just going through his routine checks before the start of the second half, as he's telling 2 or 3 of the Thackley players to keep themselves out of the other half. And now we are underway for the second 45 of this playoff semi-final. Straight away, Brody Litchfield bringing it down and knocking it forward to Allen on the half turn on the edge, on the corner of the penalty area on the right-hand side. Now he's got the battle on here against the defender. Allen's cross looking for Danny South in the middle. South gets his head on it. And Luke Wilson able to get up and gather, but straight away, a little bit more attacking intent from Hallam at the start of the second half compared to what it was like in the first. It's ball launched forward by Luke Wilson. It's for Anthony Brown to chase and Alfie Smith to punch the header out. Jack Brownell will put his right foot through the ball and put it out into touch on the far left-hand side as Thackley look at it. So we'll go back through the two teams. Thackley with Luke Wilson in goal, Harry Parsons, Luke Rhodes, Lewis Sugden, Matthew Dempsey, Alfie Gibson on in the place of Liam Hudson, Finn Donovan, Joseph Mitchell the captain, Anthony Brown, George Green and Slater Barnes. Hallam with Hugo Warhurst in goal, Jack Brownell, Jamie Sharman, captain Danny South, Brandon Bradbury, Yanni Lipke, James Cadman, Rio Allen, Brody Litchfield, Alfie Smith and Dan Poodle as Bradbury tries to play it round the corner towards Cadman, but it's cut out and Brody Litchfield knocks the ball down for Alfie Smith in the left back, for Dan Poodle, in the left back position with a diagonal ball looking towards James Cadman. It brings it down so well. James Cadman up against Alfie Gibson by the corner flag, and the ball actually comes off the corner. And it doesn't win the set piece. As Dan Poodle heads it up in the air, Gibson went down, Cadman hooks it over his shoulder, Brandon Bradbury sets up nicely on his right foot, stops and thinks, does have the shot anyway, and it's actually going to go out for a throw-in by the corner flag on the right-hand side. Allen was free on the right-hand side there. Bradbury took it down, it looked straight away like it was a shooting opportunity, then thought about it, waited for the chance to go, and then put his foot through the ball. And out for a throw-in for Thackley. Danny South trying to win the header on the corner of the penalty area. Out it goes again for another throw-in in red. There's the threat of penalties lurking over us. Of course, keep you up to date with events happening in Golkit as well. 0-0 there in the other semi-final. It's ball out for a throw-in just on halfway, which Jack Brownell will take for Hallam. It's just over halfway. Brownell's throw all kind of crowding towards the right-hand touchline as Yanni Lipke goes down. The referee waves it away. Forward it goes towards Anthony Brown with Alfie Smith winning the header above him. And Matthew Dempsey putting it forward into an area for Finn Donovan on the left-hand side for Thackley. Left side of the penalty area, and he goes into the penalty area, pulls it back, trying to go across the face of goal. Hugo Warhurst guarding his near post. Quickly bowls the ball out for Brody Litchfield on the left-hand side up against Alfie Gibson, who's been active, shall we say, since he came on as a substitute, first half substitute for Liam Hudson. Now Cadman on the right-hand side. Jack Brownell. I was just cross-like in his right foot. Brownell's cross is very, very deep. Luke Wilson was backpedaling, but was never going to be troubled by it. And it's a goal kick. And for all that the final ball hasn't quite been there, there's been a little bit more attacking intent at the start of the second half from the countrymen. So 0-0. We've played just shy of 50 minutes. As I keep saying, it's 90 and then straight to penalties if drawn. There is no extra time. Danny South picks it up just on the edge of the centre circle. That's a turn by Brody Litchfield, but loses the ball. Cadman picks it up and lays it wide to Rio Allen on the left-hand side. Again, Alfie Gibson on his shoulder. Allen plays it back towards Cadman. Crossfield ball looking for South. Cut away by Slater Barnes on the corner of the penalty area. Now Jack Brownell will pick it up on the right-hand side. Cuts inside the cross. Actually, I'm going to call it a shot. It wasn't. It was cut out by Matthew Dempsey. Alfie Smith making absolutely certain that Anthony Brown wasn't going to be able to do anything with a loose ball on the left-hand side. It's a throw-in for Thackley, just over the halfway line. It's a fantastic crowd here today, by the way, of 1,358. Just shy of a sellout here at Sandygate. It's not the first time, by any means, that we've had a crowd of over 1,000 inside the world's oldest football grounds this season, including one just a few weeks ago against Stocksbridge in the semi-final of the Sheffield Senior Cup. The final of that, of course, is still to come, so no matter what the result today, Hallam season is going to end. Rio Allen knocks it over the head of Alfie Gibson. Allen, left corner of the penalty area. Gibson actually wins out in the challenge. It's a really good block in the end to launch it clear. Gibson gets it back from Finn Donovan. I've got to say, since coming on as a substitute, Alfie Gibson's been at the front and centre of everything. Rio Allen's managed to keep the ball in play on his shoulder. Is the referee happy to let all kinds of stuff go? It's played down the line to Finn Donovan. Oh, and now the whistle goes to pull it back to see to a Thackley head injury. I think it was George Green is now clutching his thigh. He was clutching his head a minute ago. But Finn Donovan had been played in down that right-hand side. He's not happy. George Green still with a few gestures towards the referee, which doesn't compliment at the fact that play was pulled back. So still 0-0, no change in scoreline. Change in the direction of the game from the way that we ended the first half. Very stop-start, very gritty. Being honest, it's the kind of game that most playoff semi-finals, most playoff games are these days at all levels. And it is worth saying, of course, these are the first playoff fixtures to be played in England this season. The Northern Counties being the first league to wrap up its regular season this time last week at the start of April. So the trendsetters at Sandygate here today. Harry Parsons launched it forward towards Brown, just inside the penalty area. Brown tries to turn and get the shot away. It's cleared away by Jamie Sharman. As it goes for a throw-in line with the edge of the penalty area, thrown for Hallam on the right-hand side. In the right-back position as we look. So Golkar have had the ball in the net, but it's ruled out for what's been described as a questionable offside. Opinions, of course, part of football. Control, Brownell launching it forward, so it's as far as Matthew Dempsey, who lets it run to Luke Wilson. And as we saw many times in that first half, it's with the feet of either goalkeeper to decide what to do with the ball forward. Luke Wilson launches it, headed away by Dan Poodle over the head of Alfie Gibson. And there's time here for Harry Parsons to think about what he's going to do. There's a little bit of angle on it towards Anthony Brown, gets stuck between two defenders. It's extraordinary. The free kick has gone Hallam's way. I've got to say, I'm not quite sure what that's for. It seemed to get stuck between Anthony Brown and Alfie Smith. There wasn't a hand in there. Might have been for obstruction, I can only imagine, but anyway, Hallam will have the free kick on the left corner of their own penalty area through Hugo Warhurst. As we approach the 55th minute of this playoff semi-final. Hugo Warhurst's ball. It's gone a long, long way. Danny South's underneath it, battling with Luke Rhodes. So with Harry Parsons, rather. There's nothing given. The ball now falls for Slater Barnes, about 10 yards ahead of his own penalty area. Now lays it back to the feet of Luke Rhodes, who punts it forward over halfway. It's cut out only as far as Alfie Gibson. Now Finn Donovan up against Dan Poodle on the right-hand side for Thackley. His Brody Litchfield actually went down there under a tussle with Alfie Gibson. It's worked wide to the left-hand side instead for the visitors for Slater Barnes. All in red, of course. The second half playing from left to right. Lewis Sugden trying to thread it through. A little bit too far ahead of Anthony Brown and through all the way to Hugo Warhurst. Warhurst launched it forward towards Hallam have to try and get the ball in the penalty area here. He does. Had no other option really. But the angle was tight and it's gone behind for a goal kick. Just in the league this campaign. Rio Allen, of course, a man that signed at the start of the season from 2 leagues below. From county seniors at Doncaster City, we had a good record. Something for Hugo Warhurst rather to put the ball out into touch. Raced out of his goal. Now sliced clearance by Brody Litchfield. And his eventual clearance is deflected out by Slater Barnes for a Hallam throw. And I don't think there'll be any complaints about that. Rio Allen, by the way, scored 20 and 13 for Doncaster City last season. Had trials with Stoke in the summer as well, so clearly someone who can excel at higher levels. Hopefully those higher levels are with Hallam in the Northern Premier League next season. At the moment, it's 0-0 here. They're no closer to achieving that goal. It would be the highest the club have ever finished. Well, highest ever been this season, also the highest club have ever finished. Second in the Northern Counties East, Step 5, Tier 9. Still 0-0. Hugo Warhurst leaves it for Dan Poodle to punt it forward this time with his left boot towards the diagonal ball towards the right corner of the penalty area. Up goes Alfie Smith, headed away by Lewis Sugden. Litchfield closing it down. Finn Donovan puts his foot through it. By Jack Brownell, who went down. Actually by Brandon Bradbury, who did really well as well. Forward again by Matthew. And that will run all the way through to Hugo Warhurst to bring any danger to an end for Hallam. Warhurst with the ball at his feet, knocks it long over halfway. Danny South battling with his opposite number, Matthew Dempsey. Brendan Bradbury caught there by Luke Rhodes. The free kick does come Hallam's way eventually. It was a nasty challenge actually by Luke Rhodes, and Danny South making that point to the referee. Danny South's got to be a little bit on the careful side, being on a yellow card, of course, that he picked up really early on in that first half. Brendan Bradbury still down. I think he's going to be all right. Confirmation of today's crowd, 1,358, not a million miles off a sellout here at the world's oldest football ground. Bradbury's still down actually, seeing to his ankles. He's back up now. Hallam will have a free kick, and again all but Hugo Warhurst waiting in the at the moment. Well, there are two. Padman from the right hand side, just right of centre a little bit, about 35 yards back. The referee takes a step back as Cadman's ball in towards the far post looking for Alfie Smith, as Anthony Brown seemed to knock it down with his shoulder. He's won a free kick, I think it was, not sure what for. There weren't any appeals from either side really. The shed end making themselves heard at the start of the second half. Of course, pretty full up there. The crowd being slightly colourful, helped by the fact that the weather is, so we say, perfect. Very much shorts and t-shirts weather here at Sandygate this afternoon. We still wait for Luke Wilson to deal with this free kick. Still 0-0 here, 0-0 between Golka and Beverley in the other semi-final as well. Luke Wilson's free kick over the halfway line as we enter the hour mark in this game. Luke Sugden bringing it under control. Now a lovely chipped ball actually by George Green. Sugden's done really well to bring it under control as Sugden's cross is massively overhit. Hugo Walks wasn't too troubled by it. Landed on the advertising board, past the shed end, and it'll be a goal kick. But promise in the attack for Thackley. The way they managed to work the space down the right-hand side. This time for Dan Poodle. Through Brody Litchfield. Said the second ball is won by James Cadman. Sorry, Cadman going for the initial ball. It's Litchman who won the second ball. Bradbury shrugging off the challenge of Donovan. Luke Wilson was watching and waiting, and it sailed 2 or 3 yards over the top of his crossbar. Brandon Bradbury likes a shot like that. Sooner or later, one's going to drop underneath the crossbar, and it certainly was one that looked like it was set to be hit. Brandon Bradbury with 9 for the season so far. Goal kick. Halfway line. Bradbury looking to win the header. Up high to claim it. Again in a hurry to bowl the ball out for Dan Poodle in the left back position. Poodle's diagonal ball has been intercepted by a red shirt. Reporter Lewis Sugden on the near right. Ball over the top. Down the line was aimed towards, well, no one really. It's very much been a tailor ball. Putting it over the top. And Danny South and James Cadman not able to keep the ball in play. And Alfie Gibson will have a throw in Thackley's all red strip down by the corner flag. It's a strip that very much reminds me of Wrexham. All red with white trim as the throw in comes in from the right back position, and Alfie Smith punts it forward, and it's going to go back where it came from. And so we'll have to deal with it. Cadman on his shoulder. Parsons sees it out for a goal kick. Goal kick the way of Thackley, of course. Luke Wilson. Short sleeves from Luke Wilson up over the halfway where wins that. Forward by Luke Rhodes. It was George Green with it on the right. Gary Lipton picking over the halfway line. Cadman. That's going to be a nice sticks to Brody Litchfield. Can't quite keep it in. There's Alfie Gibson putting the pressure on. It had gone out. Litchfield's asking the question, but so throw in for Thackley once more in the right back position. It's becoming a familiar story, this. Harry Parsons coming to take it. Launched it forward. It was Dan Poodle who kind of flicks the header on, actually, and the ball forward by Finn. Oh, well, and it's happy to touch for a throw in. He'll change. Maybe Cadman can change that. Put pressure on the ball. Cadman keeps it in. Now danger. It's put out Alfie Gibson. Nil. Played 64 minutes in the semi-final between Hallam and Thackley. It's also 0-0 between Beverley and Golka. That's after Golka, I should say. Dan Poodle will take this throw in On the left-hand side by the corner flag, there are 6 waiting in blue in the penalty area. One of them is Danny South, who flicks the header on, and there's a chance at the far post for Cadman, pulls it back, and it's into the hands of Luke Wilson. And the first real sight of goal in the second half, right in front of goal for Hallam. It's a chance, and it will go down as one. There's a nice, clever flick on there by Danny South, who's asking the question. His arms are flailing at the moment, asking the question, why wasn't anyone following in? And it's a reasonable question to ask. Jamie Sharman punts it forward for Allen, lays it off for Litchfield. Allen gets it back now, charging through the middle. Allen beats one. Allen's in. He's up against these 1-on-2 here, Rio Allen, and it's poked clear by Luke Rhodes. And again, a little breakaway from Allen. You can see what it can do when he can beat the defender, knock it past him, and he's got the pace to keep going at any distance, really. Hugo Warhurst over this clearance from the right back towards Danny South, who wins a header. It goes vertical, and Cadman and Litchfield challenging for the same ball. Cadman brings it down and looks for the ball of Allen. It's a really good pass that by Cadman, and Allen does well to bring it down as well. South asking for it in the middle. Allen in the right corner of the penalty area. Oh, it's deflected, and it had Luke Wilson wondering, and it's a corner for Hallam on that right-hand side. And again, Rio Allen, not really seen him that much in this game, but he's so dangerous in that position. He can go either way with both feet. The reason why he's got 31 for the season. Hallam will win a corner on that far side where Dan Poodle is going over to take it. It's a slow walk with, as it stands, 6 Hallam players waiting in the penalty area, 3 waiting behind. Dan Poodle with that left-footed, going to be an in-swinging corner. A queue of 4 players waiting on the penalty spots. Corner into 6 yards. It's straight at the down the throat of Luke Wilson. Luke Wilson's clearance was straight at Brodie Litchfield, and it ricochets off him and out into touch for that throw-in for Hallam. And we're going to have a change here for Hallam, and it's going to be Callum Ward coming on. There's Callum Ward on for James Cadman. And actually, no, in fact, it's Leon Howarth coming on, rather. So a little bit of firepower back into this Hallam team. Leon Howarth scored twice in the last cup game here against Stocksbridge. Goals in both halves to win the game for Hallam in the end from Leon Howarth. He's himself, I mean, all the Rio Allen's got all applaudits this season. Howarth himself's on 16. The impact of both of the summer arrivals is it can't be understated. Alfie Gibson's throw is headed sideways by Poodle. Yanni Lipke getting a little bit more distance on it. Allen waits underneath it. Allen might win the ball here against Luke Rhodes. Allen's done exceptionally well, and surely been fouled. And he's asking the question. Nothing is coming his way. Jack Brownell again surely been fouled. Still nothing. Danny South ball over the top for Brownell. This is nice. Oh, Brownell's ball just didn't quite have the distance on it. On the right side of the penalty area, Allen was waiting in the middle. Yanni Lipke spins midway through the Thackley half. Now Brandon Bradbury. Nice turn of pace to get away from Finn Donovan. Bradbury beats the fullback as well. Nice promises from Bradbury. Ball into the middle. South's up there! Danny South scores! On his return from suspension! Yeah, that's what he's in the team for. The centre half turn, centre forward. Deadly in the air. And it's from the air that Hallam have their first goal. What a moment that is for the captain. And it's come out of very little, really. What a run by Brandon Bradbury on the right, who did it all. And Danny South got up there, rose the highest, and it's Hallam 1, Thackley 0. And there's a substitution after that goal straight away for Beverley. See who's coming on here. What a moment that was. This number 10 is coming off. So George Green being replaced by Morrissey for Beverley. Nil Beverley 1, Hallam 1, so football still to be played here. You have 20 minutes left in this game. Life really needed. Good work, really good work from Will Morrissey. It was a wonderful goal. Brandon Bradbury doing all the hard work on the right hand side, beating two men, swinging the cross in, and Danny South, inspired as ever, centre half turned centre forwards, heading it in and putting Bradbury is on the line again for Rio. The foot's going to open. Howarth making the run in the middle. Allen's ball across the boxes early, and Howarth maybe was never going to reach it, and it's gone out for a goal kick. But there are advancements now for Hallam with the improved first-half performance. So we're in the 70th minute. Hallam 1, Thackley 0. August were and interestingly, Danny Southridge mentioned that he picked game against bench final two games of the regular season. Brownell over on the edge of the centre circle for Hallam. For the goal. Yeah, I'm gotta say I'm a little bit mystified by that decision. Didn't look like there was much in it. 1-0 here, 1-0 at Gold Cup. We've reached the end of the season where we're checking the scores. That's a definite foul, to be fair, on Anthony Brown from, I can't remember. Might have been Poodle, actually, on the challenge. Using the experience of that Champions League, European Championship experience, international football, from Dan Poodle. Lewis Sugden with his free kick from deep from the right-hand side for Thackley. It's angled in towards the right-hand side, headed over by Matthew Dempsey, who had a free header at the far post. Couldn't quite get the height on it, or couldn't quite get the keep it down, rather. And Hallam will have that goal kick with Hugo Warhurst. Now then, Hugo Warhurst with the goal kick. It's been a very stop-start game, this, as you might expect from a playoff semi-final coming into the game. These are two sides that are free scoring in the league. It might be one of those games that hasn't turned out that way. It's been your very sort of archetypal two teams. Quite a lot to lose. Not quite all that keen to go hell further. But if Hallam has got the lead, we have had a goal. Or will out of the penalty area for Finn Donovan. It's very keeping actually, because it can't have been easy. The ball hung in the air for a good 2 or 3 seconds. Jack Donovan's hanging cross. Hugo Warhurst puts it forward. Alfie Gibson puts it clear again, only as far as Dan Poodle in the right back position. Up towards Leon Howarth. Danny South actually with a really good touch. And a nice layoff to find Brody Litchfield. Forward for Hugh Warhurst. Come to an end. Great touch by Dan South. He's really coming to his own a little bit. He's on a yellow card, remember. After picking up that booking in the opening exchange of this game. Throw in for Thackley, which will take very quickly towards Finn Donovan on the left. It's played back towards Alan just over halfway. Now Joseph Mitchell, the captain. Down the line. The ball towards Anthony Brown in the middle. He takes a touch. Shoulder Joseph. Sorry. Fires into the advertising horse behind the goal. So no more goals here. No more goals at Golka either. Sheffield Wednesday are 1 down to Oxford United at the moment in the Championship. Hugo Warhurst will kick once again. In back. I tried to drop his shoulder and turn the pace. Is lost out in the middle to Dempsey. Now Brownell foot to it. The ball is stayed in play here and it rebounds off Danny South. It's going to be a painful one. You can probably hear that from here. It's been kept in play by Luke Wilson. No move to let the ball go behind. Again, Danny South. Asking a question or two. Yanni Lipke trying to get the ball clear. It's gone for Jack Brownell in the right back position with ball out. Still in danger. Kick once again for Hallam and Hugo Warhurst. So we're in the final 14 minutes of this Northern Counties East playoff semi-final. Way up over halfway. Distance on that. Done by Danny. In the save this by Wilson. Heavily defended that. Very good fingertip reaction. It was deflected towards goal by Luke Rowe. And once again, making things happen. To left. In this second period, Dan Poodle once again with his left foot, an in-swinging corner, angled towards the edge of 6 yards, headed away by Dempsey. Brody Litchfield battling for it. By Danny South, for Luke Wilson. Well. Is a so still 1-0 here, still 1-0 at Golka as well to Beverley. So as it stands, and I do have to reiterate, there are still 12 minutes of football to come here. As it stands, it will be a Hallam versus jockeying with long ball up to Leon Howard. Header won by Matthew Dempsey, but backwards only to Danny South, who is fouled by I think it might be Dempsey again. Off Hallam once again, and I think there'll be a little bit less urgency to get on this occasion. the right foot. The free kick. It's powerfully made. Wins it. Doing Mitchell. Litchfield up against Gibson. It comes off Gibson and run behind for a corner. Hallam on that left side. It's time to go over and take. Down on this near side, almost underneath our gantry position here. Johnny Lipka's corner towards the edge of 6 yards, headed away. For the Litchfield header. We're losing out to Joseph Mitchell on halfway. Mitchell wide to the left. The referee's going to point that. And it's also going to book Dan Poodle as well. I'm not entirely sure what's gone on there. Do apologise if there were any issues with the audio. Hopefully it didn't infringe too much the quality. This free kick can be launched forward by Luke Wilson. I believe the audio problems are now fixed. I hope that lost too much of this commentary. Led by Matthew Dempsey towards the far post. By Hallam, as far as Slater Barnes. Wide to the left hand side for Anthony Brown. Up against Jack Brownell on the left corner of the penalty area. So again, once again, apologies for the quality of the audio. We're trying to work out what's going on, how to fix it. Hallam have a throw-in on the right-hand side through Alfie Smith. There's only 5 players waiting in the penalty area here. Alfie Smith's throw-in then. Danny South goes up for it on the corner of 6 yards rather. Clear us up towards Torhead Ahmed. He's 1v1 with Bradley. Oh, a nice little turn there by Slater Barnes into the penalty area. Tries to get the shot away. Oh, and a diving set by through in the middle. I think off the hands of And once again, apologise for the audio quality. We are trying to work it out, and we will endeavour to have it sorted soon. Hallam once again have this throw-in through Jack Brownell on the right-hand side. Danny South can't quite keep it under control. So, off comes Brody Litchfield, being replaced by Adam Blakely.
Number 16, Adam Blakely. And as well, this afternoon, Sheffield Assay Office Man of the Match, as chosen by today's match sponsor, the sport is number 2, Jack Brownell. Please join the presentation.
Jack Brownell, today's man of the match. For Hallam, I think that's well deserved. Brody Litchfield making his way off the pitch, being replaced by Adam Blakely. So Thackley have this throw in on the left-hand side, level with the edge of the penalty area. It's back with Slater Barnes, who's offside. And it will be a free kick for Hallam. In the right-back position, as we're in the 86th minute here. Hugo Warhurst on the edge. The penalty area. Yeah. I think. Up by Warhurst, up towards Will Morrissey. It's out into touch on top of Danny South for a throw-in.
Following a 1-0 defeat.
So into the final 2 minutes, Rio Allen picks it up on the right corner of the penalty area. Actually down by the right touchline now. It's going to be a throw-in one off the full-back. No, it's not Harry Parsons, sorry. That's Luke Rhodes, the left-back for Thackley. Jack Brownell, the man of the match this afternoon over this throw-in. Adam Blakely making the run beyond him. Rio Allen was the one who brought the ball down. Brownell's throw once again as we enter the final minute or so of this game. Danny South charging for it. It's headed clear just before it reaches the feet of Rio Allen. Now Yanni Lipka forward towards South on the corner of the penalty area. Booted clear by Thackley up towards Anthony Brown, who goes down. Jamie Sharman on his shoulder. Referee not giving anything. Danny South up against Luke Rhodes, again on the right-hand side for Hallam. Rhodes has probably got the edge of this battle. Now then, there's the free kick's gone the way of Thackley. There's two went down in the penalty area there, both appealed, and Callum Ward will now enter the field of play for Hallam, and he'll be replacing Rio Allen, who hasn't quite managed to get into the game in the way that we've seen on quite a few occasions this season. Rio Allen, such is the nature of football. So Callum Ward, and we talked about Danny South's goals at Newcastle. early on in the season. Well, Callum Ward managed one as well that day.
How long have we got? I made that 90 minutes.
As we're just about to tick over, 5 seconds to go of the 90. And we now enter second half stoppage time in this Northern Counties East playoff semi-final. Hallam 1 up here against Thackley. Beverley 1-0 up against Golka in the other semi-final. It's Finn Donovan on the left-hand side. Tries to create something for Thackley. He'll win a corner and it's come off. I think it was Alfie Smith. We enter 6 minutes of second half stoppage time. Alfie Smith was down under the impact from that from clearance. Thackley have a corner and it'll be taken by Lewis Sugden on that far left-hand side. It'll be an in-swinging corner with his right foot. Sugden's ball into the box. Up goes the head of Anthony Brown. It's might not have got the distance that he would have wanted. Callum Ward now battling with Will Morrissey, and Callum Ward wins the challenge. Oh, and Callum Ward's then brought down by Joseph Mitchell. It's cynical. The referee is happy for play to go on. Will Morrissey brings it forward now. It's with Lewis Sugden on the left touchline. Now Slater Barnes has crossed straight down the throat of Hugo Warhurst. We've had 1 minute of the added 6. Danny South's goal early in the second half. The difference between the two sides at the moment. Forward by Warhurst. Over by the head of everybody, including Matthew Dempsey, through to Luke Wilson, who is in no mood to wait around this time around. Punts it forward. Anthony Brown battling with Jamie Sharman. Brown wins the header. Now Lewis Sugden on the left-hand side. Sugden in towards Joseph Mitchell in field. Yanni Lipka. And he's about half a mile off. And in the end, the ball's been ran out of play for a throw into Thackley and a chance to reset. Now the number 11, who's Slater Barnes, has got a little break free. Hallam punt it forward again. Something for Callum Ward to chase up against Luke Wilson. Has to get it right. Does so. And the danger come to an end there for Thackley. Forward it goes once again towards Brown on the edge of the penalty area. Yanni Lipka goes up and punts it clear. Fourth underneath it. Doesn't go for it. And he's putting the pressure on Harry Parsons here. And it's back with Luke Wilson in the Thackley goal to knock it forward. And Anthony Brown allowed to turn just over halfway. Yanni Lipka on his shoulder. Brown lays it off to Sugden. Sweeps it wide again to Slater Barnes on the left. Barnes' cross, headed away by Danny South, who's dropped back into his more natural centre-back role. Luke Rhodes picks it up, now finds Will Morrissey, tries the shot, crowded out by Yanni Lipka, and it'll be a throw-in for Thackley. The ball boy on the far side, not in any mood to go and retrieve the ball in any great length of time. Thackley throw-in on the left-hand side and towards Morrissey. In the field further towards Ahmed. Ahmed trying to find space on the edge of the penalty area. Gets it back on the right-hand side. He's got South on his shoulder. Pulls it back. Was Sharman. And then lumped forward by Callum Ward. Halfway. Howarth does win the ball now. He's up against 3 defenders. Leon Howarth might go for the ball alone, and it's way over the top. That's all that matters. We've played 3 minutes. 3 minutes of the second half stoppage time. Forward it goes up towards Callum Ward, up against Luke Rhodes. Callum Ward has done well, nearly won the ball actually. He's involved in a tussle. Oh, and Luke Rhodes kicks out, and Luke Rhodes will surely go here. The linesman's flagging, and I think this might be surely Luke Rhodes, who's kicked out. The linesman's flag was up like a shot. And we'll wait and see. The referee going over to talk to his assistant. I can't see any other outcome here. There were two players who were down, Luke Rhodes and Brandon Bradbury. Both were trying to get up, and Rhodes kind of stuck a cheeky leg out, it looked like, towards Bradbury. It's been a long old talk this between the referee and his assistant, mainly that the time is spent just trying to clear the players away. Again, the linesman's flag rather, was up like a shot. And now we're waiting to see the outcome of this decision. Luke Rhodes, the number 3, being called over. We can't find him, the referee, at the moment. Luke Rhodes trying to hide. Indeed, it is a red card, and Thackley will play out the remaining 90 seconds or so of this game with 10 men, and I'm not sure there can be too many complaints either. And I've got to say, I can't really understand what the complaints were for. So Luke Rhodes sent off in the 6th minute of added time. We have now had the 6 that we originally bargained for. We'll obviously have a couple added on for the time it took for the referee's deliberations with the linesman. But we've had the 6 minutes, and Luke Rhodes has been sent off. Hallam will have a free kick on the right-hand side in no mood to take it with any great speed. And, of course, with no real commitment of players forward, I think it's going to be a case of knocking it forward to Callum Ward, to the corner flag. Brandon Bradbury is alongside him as well. Over this free kick, Leon Howarth alongside him as well. There's a wall being set up. I'm not entirely sure what for. It's a 3-man wall with one waiting in the penalty area. It seems a little bit ambitious, unless the plan is to just run out and charge down, which I think that might indeed be the case. Indeed it is. It's gone with Callum Ward by the corner flag. Ball's been won by Joseph Mitchell. The free kick has gone the way of Thackley. There were 1 or 2 celebrations in the shed end there, I think, when the referee blew his whistle. The yellow card's been shown. And Leon Howarth taps the ball out into touch at the feet of Harry Parsons. Hallam 1, Thackley 0. We're in stoppage time of stoppage time here. Harry Parsons over this throw in, having a few heated words with the Hallam bench right in front of him. Brandon Bradbury wins the header, out into touch again. The crowd getting a little bit restless as we enter. Well, we're well into added time here. Whistles from the crowd. For Dan Poodle, hooks it clear. A look at the watch from the referee. Still we play on. Of course, time was added on for the time it took over the red card, the giving of the red card. Harry Parsons has pushed over Leon Howarth. I'm not sure there's as much in that one as there was before, but a little bit of afters going in here as Will Morrissey's getting involved, and finally we have a real bit of needle, a bit of bite to end this game. At the moment, it's all a bit of a fuss over nothing. This, to be honest, there's Harry Parsons currently having his shirt pulled off his back by Hugo Warhurst and vice versa. I can't see there being too much for the referee to clean up here. Yellow cards apiece, I think. Harry Parsons. So there's a yellow card for Leon Howarth, and I'm sure there'll also be one for Parsons as well. In fact, the referee just going to talk to his linesman on the near side. Ethan Nundy, both linesmen are involved in it. Nicholas Brickcliffe and Chris Pert, both linesmen, talking to Ethan Nundy. Leon Howarth, I'm fairly sure, has already been booked. Harry Parsons also, one assumes, will be shown a yellow card for his part. It was just 2 going at it, really. There's nothing in it. And the referee going to his right pocket. And there's a yellow card in here for Will Morrissey as well. And I think, is that going to be the end of the yellow cards? Howarth is now finally shown his booking. And what's happening now? The referee going into the penalty area, the shed end. Enjoying this. And there's been another yellow card shown. I'm not entirely sure who it was shown to inside that penalty area. The referee still has his yellow card out. This is on the comical side this at the moment. Looking at the back of his shirt of a Thackley player, Slater Barnes, is now booked. And finally the yellow card is shown to Harry Parsons, last but not least. And the messiest situation you could possibly see has finally been cleaned up. It didn't really need to get to that stage. For being honest, it was a fuss, as we said, a fuss about nothing really. Harry Parsons, again, has this throw in now for Thackley, and it goes deep into the penalty area. Oh, it skids across the face of goal. Cleared off the line. It was Joseph Mitchell with a shot right to the far post. And that is that! Hallam are in the playoff final. They are 90 minutes from step 4 for the very first time. And history has been made time and time again. And there will be a chance this time next week at Sandygate to earn promotion to the Northern Premier League. For the very first time, we wait confirmation as to who will be in that final. It will be Beverley. Hallam against Beverley in that final this time next week here at Sandygate. Again, there are afters at full time here. Hallam just need to keep their distance. It doesn't matter. Keep your distance. Do not get involved in anything. So the final will be here at Sandygate this time next week against Beverley Town. It's finished here. A tight encounter. 1 goal in it. Danny South's header, the distance. There's Jamie Sharman's just been shown a yellow card after the final whistle. I imagine there'll have been all sorts of other cards being handed out one way or another. But it doesn't matter now. Hallam are in that final. They've edged out a very, very tight and very tense semi-final against Thackley by a 1-0. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We apologise for the technical issues throughout that second half. Danny South's goal, the difference between the two sides. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week for the final. See you around.